Luke's mother came to my office one day and said, "You work with children?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "I want you to help straighten out my son." And I thought, well, I might make a deal with you. You help me straighten out my two knuckleheads, and I'll help you straighten out Luke. Luke was in the first grade. He'd been discharged from elementary school 3 times. He had a learning disability. Nobody knew that. He had an attitude problem because he was beaten down. He felt stupid. He felt ugly. He had no father in his life, never will know who his father is, lived in a rough neighborhood, didn't have anything financially. He was an accident waiting to happen. He was headed toward a life of crime, and a short life at that. But I said to his mom, "Yes, we will. We'll help you straighten him out." And you know what we did? The first thing we did is we straightened his mom out. We led her to Jesus Christ. And you know what? That's when people get straightened out. You know how I know that? Not because I'm the expert as I was introduced. I've lived both ways. I've lived without Christ. I found him at the age of 13. I've lived with Christ. Folks, let me think for a second. Yeah, I'm not going back. Christ makes a change, and I knew that it would change Luke's life if we could just introduce his mom first. Well, you know, all of a sudden, Luke wouldn't even look you in the eye. He stuttered. He was embarrassed. Well, one thing about him, he looked like a halfback. He looked like one of these just cut little athletes at the age of 7. I thought, if we can just get him through 4th grade, we'll get him a scholarship somewhere. And our church wrapped our arms around Luke. And Luke began to smile. Luke began to talk to people. Luke began to look his teachers and myself in the eye. He wasn't beaten. He wasn't broken anymore. He was rescued. One day, we had 2 elevators in the children's building, and I was on one, and it was packed like sardines with all these other workers and parents and people on the elevator, and all of a sudden the door jammed, and it kept opening up, and I knew what it was. It was one of my little buddies out there pushing the button. I mean, not that I'm, just assuming, but I had a lot of practice with that same scenario. Well, I was wrong. I was just thinking the worst of my little darling buddies. Just they were a lot like me when I was that age, or maybe like you. But there was somebody trying to get in the elevator, and it was just so full that the door kept hitting them and opening where we couldn't go anywhere. That's what I thought. I looked around. I'm in the back, and I looked around, and it was Luke trying to squeeze his way to get to me to hand me something, but he was too shy to say, "Excuse me, Pastor Art, could I get you before the door cuts me in two one more time?" He was just too shy, and finally the audience, parted, and I saw this little hand reach out and hand me this envelope, and I said, "Oh, Luke, thanks," and he's gone. He kind of looks over his shoulder, "Yeah, okay." And so about the 2nd floor, I'm like a kid, I can't wait. I opened the card. The envelope had a card inside, and it wasn't one of these handwritten cards that the teachers in Sunday school say, "Make everybody a card and give it to somebody you love." It was from a store. It was a store-bought card, or I'll say this, it may have been a store-borrowed card. I'm not sure if it was bought or not, because I don't know where Luke would have gotten $2.29, folks. That was a lot of money for him to have lying around to buy somebody a card. And here's what it said: "Happy Father's Day." My life changed that day when a little boy that wasn't even my color looked at me as his father figure. Folks, that's what the church is. We're the father and the mother to the fatherless and the motherless. Or we're supposed to be, but Jesus says we might need to change. See, today's message, it's not about Kool-Aid and balloons and kiddie things. This message is for adults.